What self-discipline really means. This is episode 5 of the Napoleon Hill Inspired Lessons Series, and today we are talking about one of the most uncomfortable, most avoided, yet most powerful principles of all, self-discipline. Napoleon Hill made something very clear through his life's work. Success is not controlled by intelligence, luck, talent, or even opportunity. It is controlled by the ability to direct yourself when no one else is watching. Self-discipline is not punishment. It is not suffering. It is not forcing yourself to live a miserable life. Self-discipline is simply the ability to control your thoughts, your emotions, your habits, and your reactions instead of letting them control you. Most people fail not because life is too hard, but because they never learned how to manage themselves. They allow moods to dictate action. They allow comfort to override purpose. They allow fear to speak louder than reason. Napoleon Hill observed that every person he studied who achieved lasting success had one thing in common. They could act in alignment with their goals regardless of how they felt. They did not wait to feel motivated. They did not wait to feel confident. They did not wait for conditions to improve. They moved first, and feelings followed. That is self-discipline. It is choosing long-term reward over short-term relief. It is choosing growth over comfort. It is choosing control over chaos. Without self-discipline, even the best plans collapse. Without self-discipline, knowledge stays unused. Without self-discipline, dreams remain fantasies. This is why Hill placed such importance on this principle. He understood that self-discipline is the bridge between intention and reality. You can have faith, imagination, purpose, and opportunity, but without discipline, none of it becomes real. Discipline is the muscle that turns thought into action, and like any muscle, it grows only through use. The uncomfortable truth is that discipline feels hardest at the beginning, when your old habits are still strong. But once discipline becomes your identity, life actually becomes easier, calmer, and more focused. Discipline does not restrict freedom, it creates it. Why most people avoid self-discipline? Most people avoid self-discipline because they misunderstand it. They believe discipline means giving up joy, freedom, and ease. In reality, lack of discipline is what destroys joy. It creates stress, guilt, anxiety, and regret. Napoleon Hill noticed that undisciplined people live emotionally reactive lives. They eat without control, spend without planning, speak without thinking, and react without awareness. Then they wonder why their lives feel unstable. Self-discipline brings order, and order creates peace. Another reason people resist discipline is because it exposes self-deception. When you lack discipline, you can always blame circumstances. You can blame time, energy, other people, or bad luck. But discipline removes excuses. It places responsibility back where it belongs, on you. And responsibility can feel heavy to those who are not ready to carry it. Hill understood that self-discipline is deeply connected to self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you break one, your self-trust weakens. Over time, this shapes your identity. Disciplined people trust themselves. Undisciplined people doubt themselves. That doubt leaks into every area of life: relationships, finances, health, and decision-making. Self-discipline also requires emotional control. Hill taught that emotions are powerful forces but dangerous masters. When emotions lead, logic disappears. Discipline allows you to pause, observe, and choose your response instead of reacting automatically. This is especially important in moments of stress, temptation, and pressure. The disciplined mind does not eliminate emotion, it directs it. It channels anger into focus, fear into preparation, and desire into purpose. Most people are not weak, they are simply untrained. No one taught them how to manage impulses, delay gratification, or think beyond the moment. But discipline can be learned at any stage of life. It does not require perfection. It requires consistency. One controlled decision today is stronger than 1,000 intentions for tomorrow. Discipline begins when you stop negotiating with your lower self and start honoring your higher one. How self-discipline shapes destiny. Napoleon Hill believed that self-discipline quietly shapes destiny over time. It does not create instant results, but it creates inevitable ones. Every disciplined choice compounds. Waking up when you said you would, doing the work even when motivation is gone, saying no when temptation appears. These moments feel small, but they accumulate into character, and character determines outcomes. Hill observed that disciplined individuals attract trust, opportunity, and responsibility because others can rely on them. They become leaders naturally, not because they seek control, but because they demonstrate control over themselves. Self-discipline also protects your peace of mind. When your actions align with your values, inner conflict disappears. You no longer fight yourself. You no longer feel pulled in opposite directions. Life becomes simpler, not because it is easy, but because your standards are clear. Discipline reduces mental noise. It removes chaos. It strengthens focus. Hill taught that the disciplined mind can hold attention longer, think deeper, and visualize more clearly. This directly impacts imagination, planning, and decision-making. Discipline allows you to stay with an idea long enough to develop it. Undisciplined minds jump from idea to idea, chasing excitement instead of results. Discipline also strengthens faith. When you repeatedly act in alignment with your goals, belief grows naturally. You do not need external validation. You begin to trust the process because you trust yourself. This is why discipline is closely linked to confidence. Confidence is not arrogance. It is calm certainty built through repeated follow-through. Over time, disciplined people stop being ruled by circumstances. They respond instead of react. They plan instead of panic. They build instead of drift. Destiny is not a single decision. It is the sum of daily disciplines practiced quietly. And most people never realize that the life they want is not blocked by lack of opportunity, but by lack of structure. Discipline provides that structure. How to begin building self-discipline. Let's end episode 5 with practical guidance, because Napoleon Hill believed knowledge without application is useless. Building self-discipline does not require extreme routines or dramatic changes. It begins with control over small things. Start with one promise you can keep daily, one habit you can manage, one area where you choose order over impulse. Discipline grows through repetition, not intensity. Hill emphasized that self-discipline must be intentional. You must decide in advance how you will act, so emotions don't decide for you later. This means planning your day, setting boundaries, and limiting exposure to distractions. Discipline is easier when your environment supports it. Remove temptations where possible. Simplify choices. Create routines that reduce decision fatigue. Another key element is forgiveness without indulgence. You will fail sometimes. Discipline does not mean perfection. It means correction. When you slip, observe without judgment and return to alignment immediately. Do not turn one mistake into a pattern. Discipline also requires clarity of purpose. It is easier to stay disciplined when you know why you are doing something. This is why Hill tied self-discipline directly to definite major purpose. Discipline without purpose feels like restriction. Discipline with purpose feels like power. As you practice discipline, something interesting happens. Your identity changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That shift changes how you speak, how you act, and what you tolerate. And tolerance shapes life. Remember this as we close. Self-discipline is not about controlling life. It is about controlling yourself so life does not control you. When discipline becomes your habit, peace becomes your baseline, and success becomes predictable. This is not magic. This is mastery, and mastery always begins within.